All right, let's go ahead and get started. So thank you everyone for joining us here today for our session to learn how to achieve more in Yammer with Office 365 group integrations. So I'm here today with Pradeep Ganapathy-Raj, Ron Blandford. My name is Adrienne Trudeau. We are all members of the Yammer product management team, and we're going to do a deep dive today into our integration story with Office 365, talk a little bit about what we've already built, what's coming next, but most importantly, how you can use these integrations to really get the most out of your network and empower the employees and the people in your organization. Okay, so first, this is the slide that talks all about what is Microsoft 365, this universal toolkit for teamwork. You've probably seen this in a few of the other sessions you've been to so far, so we'll do a quick recap. Office 365 provides this unified suite of products and services that address all of your organization's productivity needs. So we have a number of different services here. We've got Outlook, which is a place where you can create groups and evolution of distribution lists, and a place where you can communicate with the tools that are very familiar to you, like email and calendar. We have SharePoint, which is your hub for social intranet in your company, which puts the content first and foremost in your organization. Next, Yammer, which is what we are here to talk about today. Yay. So Yammer is the tool that helps you really connect across your organization. This is the tool that helps you find the people that you don't necessarily work with every day and connect and share and collaborate with people who have similar interests as yours and work in these open projects and open V teams. Next, we have the Office apps. It's the Office apps that you know and love and have used for years: Microsoft, Word, PowerPoint. It's a place to co-author and collaborate and create the documents that you need as part of your teamwork. And finally, we have Teams, which is the newest addition to the Microsoft 365 toolkit. It's a hub for teamwork that's focused on chat-based collaboration, meant for really agile teams. It's a great way to collaborate with your teammates, and is a great addition to the Microsoft 365 suite. So underpinning all of this, you have the connective tissue that brings this whole suite together, and that's comprised of three main components. It's Office 365 groups, which is a notion of shared membership, so your groups in one location persist across the entire suite so that your context and your ability to work with people is seamless across all these different products. We also have the Microsoft Graph, which is an intelligence layer for people and content that spans the entire suite: Delve, Yammer, Teams, Outlook, every place where you're working with your team. And finally, security and compliance. Integrate security and compliance, build it once, have it in every product, set your policies. It makes management and retention and data for your network seamless. All right, so I'm gonna take a step back here. This is one of my favorite slides to show, because Yammer was acquired about 5 years ago. And in that time, we've been on this journey to really integrate Yammer deeply into the Microsoft 365 suite. But to do that, we had to build a lot of infrastructure and foundational components. And we started our journey by aligning Office 365 identity. Pradeep can talk all about this. It started with the notion of how do you understand a user identity in Yammer mapped to a user identity in Office 365? How do you understand the notion of a network and how it's mapped to the concept of a tenant in Office 365? And once we built that framework, we're able to enable seamless management of your users and your networks in Office 365. Following up on that initiative, we brought Yammer in line with the security and compliance functionality that you see across the rest of the suite. So the Tier C level of compliance, which enabled us to turn Yammer on by default for almost every business and education tenant in Office 365. So we could say, Yammer is here, we are fully integrated, into Office 365. Yeah. It's a very exciting moment for us. And all of that was 4 years of work. And that has really given us the ability to accelerate the growth and the pace of change with our integration into Office 365. So you can see the number of bullets on this slide is huge. We're doing a lot more with integrating Yammer and Office 365 now, starting with Office 365 groups. That is the next framework level component that gives us the ability to really integrate Yammer groups deeply with the other functionality that you get in the Microsoft 365 toolkit. So, Office 365 groups, advanced management capabilities like MAM we shipped earlier this year, the ability to find your files from the SharePoint team sites and document libraries that you're a member of and attach them to a conversation and start a conversation in Yammer easily with this file picker. We now have dynamic groups in Yammer based on Office 365 groups. So you can pretty easily manage large groups in your company or groups that have a lot of turnover by having these groups dynamically populate the membership list based on some attribute from Azure Active Directory. We have Stream now. So, yeah. You can upload a video into Stream, copy the link, paste it into a message in Yammer, and now the video renders inline, and we take care of the authentication, so you don't have to worry about whether or not people can see the video. It's seamless, it plays right in line, and it's awesome because you also get to see how many people have viewed the video and how many people have liked the video. We've got integration with the third-party apps and tools that you use through Office 365 connectors, and most recently, we announced integration with Skype for Business, which Pradeep is going to talk about later today. So what does all this mean? Huge growth. So this work and a lot of the other work we've done over the last year, you can really see the momentum and the change in usage for Yammer. So some pretty big numbers up here. 56% year-over-year growth in days engaged per user, a 39% change in users per network. We've got an additional 64% year-over-year in engagements per network, and a really massive one, a 275% increase year-over-year in people engaging with files in Yammer. So moving beyond the conversation to talk about files too. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Office 365 groups in Yammer and how this works. After that, Pradeep is going to cover our Skype audio-video presence in Yammer, and then Ron is going to finish up doing a deep dive into SharePoint and Yammer, the social intranet experience, and our roadmap for file integration. So, okay, why don't we kick this off with a demo? Yeah? Yeah. I am 8. Cool, so for the purposes of this demo, I'm still Adrian, that hasn't changed, but now I am a member of the Contoso Travel Agency, this Contoso Travel Agency that gets all the cool features that we talk about long before anybody else gets them. So you can see that I'm a member of a number of different groups in this network. One of the ones that I'm a part of is this New Zealand group. Main reason is because I focus on New Zealand as my primary travel destination. I'm an expert in this area. But I'm also a member of the global telesales team because I am part of the telesales department. So you can see here that this is a group with dynamic membership. So by virtue of having telesales as my department, I am a member of this group. Last but not least, I am also a member of this Kenya group. So I joined this group initially because I was looking to expand my repertoire in the company and really gather a new area of expertise. So I joined this group so I could learn from some of the people who are already experts in this area. And it's a group that's used today for people who know a lot about travel to Kenya, people in the generalist sales team who need to learn more, find answers, ask questions, connect with the experts. And very occasionally, like in my case, when you are planning a personal trip and want to get direct access to the people who know an awful lot about this. So this group is configured for connectors as well. So we can see here that we have some tweets coming in from the Kenya Tourism Foundation and from KTF Kenya. These are some major organizations in Kenya that organize tourism. And this group is set up this way for a couple of reasons. One, it helps us to stay up to date on what's happening. So if there's any major changes or things that are happening in Kenya tourism, we get proactive notifications about this and we can react in advance on behalf of our customers to adjust our travel packages on the basis of what's happening. But also we get some tweets occasionally that talk about special deals or new packages that are being offered by the Kenya Tourism Bureau, and that allows us to jump on that quickly and add that to the packages that we sell for Kenya. It's really easy to set up apps. You can just come in here to the connectors, and you can see what's currently configured, or you can also go ahead and add new configurations for this particular group. So when I joined this group, as I mentioned, it was partially because I wanted to enhance my career, but also partially because I just wanted some travel tips and tricks for my vacation. And let me tell you, the folks in here saved me an awful lot of heartache with Nairobi traffic by telling me to stay on the west side of the city instead of the east side of the city before going on safari. So to thank them, I posted some of my videos and photos from vacation. So you can see here is a stream video that I uploaded into the Kenya group in Stream because my groups carry across the suite. Now that I have a connected group in Yammer, it also shows up in Stream. And you can see it plays seamlessly just in line like this, and I can see how many people have watched it, and also that somebody loves elephants just as much as I do. So I posted some of my pictures too, and we're gonna take questions at the end.
Sorry, is it possible to zoom in? Sorry.
Better? Awesome. So I posted some of my pictures from vacation too, and I got such a great response to these pictures that I was thinking, maybe we could use Kenya as the featured travel destination for next month. And somehow my manager, Pradeep over here, saw this post. I don't know if it was through discovery or from one of the digest emails that we send out, but he saw this post and thought that it was a great idea and told me that I should take the lead on this initiative. So to do that, I went ahead and I created a new group. So Featured Travel Destination Kenya. And this is the place where I'm going to be working with my V team to plan out this initiative and to get all the pieces together we need to make this project come to life. So we had our kickoff meeting, and in the kickoff meeting, I took some notes in our Team OneNote, so you can see what the initiative is all about, making Kenya this featured travel destination. I've got some notes about what we need to make this happen, the travel packages, the brochure, the training for the sales group, and I've got a list of to-dos. There's always to-dos, right? So for that, I decided to keep track of some of these tasks in Planner. You can see it's really dead simple, super easy. I've got Isaiah helping me out here. I've got a few of these tracked already, but I need another task for designing the brochure. So I'll go ahead and super easy for me to assign these to people because all my group members just show up here in this list. So I'm going to take that one on. But I've already done the research on the travel destinations, so I'm just going to go ahead and move that right over to the done column. Super simple. Now, we can assume here that we've done a few rounds of iteration. I've gotten some feedback from my team members, Ron and Pradeep have commented on my package for travel destination. It's all ready to go. And now I need to roll this training out to the field. So I'm coming back over to our group with dynamic membership that has everybody who works in sales, so they'll be prepared for October when Kenya becomes our featured destination of the month and it's splashed across our website. So I'm going to go ahead and post an announcement here. New travel destination, Kenya. I'm going to upload this document that I've been working on. Check this out. Post that. Looks just like today, right? You get this beautiful preview of the document. But what's really fun about this is that this document now uploads to SharePoint directly. So this is a change. I know, some people are really excited about this. So this is a change that's going to be coming in the next few months for connected groups. Instead of uploading the documents to SharePoint or to Yammer like we do today, SharePoint is going to become the new default file upload location for your documents, and Stream is going to become the default file upload location for your videos. Yeah, it's great. And so one of the other things that's really awesome about these groups of dynamic memberships is we just had a new person join our team. Her name is Amy. She started yesterday, so she's barely had a chance to get her feet wet and doesn't even know where to start. But she's going to be the travel coordinator for these featured destinations. So she's going to be helping out with these types of initiatives in the future. So Amy's never been to Yammer before, but because she has her department set as telesales, you can see that Amy Jones is already listed as a member of this group. So this is a change that we've made around how we handle pending accounts or accounts for people who have not yet logged into Yammer for the first time. If they are a member of the group as defined by these dynamic membership lists, they will show up as full group members. And when I send announcements, they're going to get an email message telling them to come to Yammer and check out all this information. So you can use these groups now for your corporate communications and know that everybody who needs to see this message is going to see this message. So live demo here. We're going to try logging in as Amy Jones for the first time. So new user, and there it is, Global Telesales. She's already a member of the group. It's right there. She comes into Yammer for the first time, and she's already ready to get running from day one. But groups is not awesome just for the people in your corporation. It's also awesome for admins because you can see all of the groups from Yammer that are connected to Office 365 in the admin portal and manage them the same way that you manage groups from Outlook and groups from Teams. So here's the featured travel destination in Kenya. As an administrator, I'm a little sad that it has the exact same description as name, so I'm going to note that this is an initiative to make Kenya the featured destination for October. Hit save. And within a few minutes, that description is going to be updated in Yammer, in AAD, and in every place around the suite that shows a description for a group. And it's the same thing with managing the other elements of this group, like the name, the membership list, and all of the core metadata. So as you can see, Yammer's integration story now from an administration perspective includes managing users and network and groups through the common administration toolset in Office 365. All right. So let's go back to presentation. Recap what we talked about here. So collaborating in Yammer with these Office 365 groups, when you create a group and your tenant and network are eligible for Office 365 groups integration, we're going to get a group that provisions in AAD as well. And you can tell the difference because you see on the right a list of Office 365 resources. So these are the SharePoint document library, the team site, the planner, and the OneNote that come with and enhance your Yammer group experience. So today, in addition to getting those, we have it in place to make it really easy for you to navigate back and forth. You have links to your SharePoint, et cetera, within Yammer. If you go to SharePoint, the team site, the group conversations link brings you back into Yammer, so it's really easy to get around the suite. And some of the things that are coming soon in this area, as I mentioned, Streams is a new offering to Microsoft 365 since we launched our Office 365 groups integration, and our groups automatically show up in Stream. So what we're going to be doing soon is we're going to be adding a link to Stream in here and making sure that from Stream you can also get back to the Yammer group that comes with that Stream video library. Additionally, we are going to make mobile great with these resources too. So today you can only access them from the web. Coming soon, the mobile clients are going to have access to these shared group resources, which will link into the apps from the other products around the suite. And one of the last ones that I'm really excited about today, to get a connected group in Yammer, you have to create the group in Yammer. And soon, we're going to be working to allow you to create Yammer groups from anywhere around the suite. So through PowerShell, the Admin Center, SharePoint, and any other location where you can create groups. Yes. SharePoint and Yammer. They're awesome together. Office 365 groups as a concept really helps to remove a lot of these barriers to productivity. So I've said it before, I will say it again, that notion of shared membership that carries across the suite is really effective in breaking down the barriers that get in the way of you and the people in your organization doing their best work. So prior to integration with Office 365 groups, and you can raise your hand if you've ever done this, create a file, it's in SharePoint or your personal OneDrive for Business, you paste a link into Yammer, and then you get a deluge of requests for access to the document. Yeah, I see people nodding. It was painful. That's gone. It's totally gone, because now, if you put the SharePoint document in the library for the group, everybody in the group gets access. It doesn't matter if they join tomorrow, they're still going to have access to that document. It's a small thing, but it makes the collaboration experience so much more seamless in Yammer groups. You can also find your Yammer groups all around the suite. You find them in Delve. You find them in SharePoint. So if I go into SharePoint to share and I search for the group, I will find my Yammer groups because these connected groups get an address or get an entry in your company's global address list. So if I open email and start searching, Kenya travel destination, I will find my group and I can forward an email to my Yammer group directly from within Outlook, and the same thing for SharePoint. And last, this new experience that's actually coming soon, super excited about this, is your team sites are going to start showing up in the Office apps in Office 365. So you can open up PowerPoint or Word or Excel, create your document, hit Save As, and you will see your Yammer Group's document library is listed there, and just save it directly to the document library. And, yeah. I have to say from personal experience that having SharePoint and the document library with my Yammer groups has really been a game changer in terms of how I use Yammer to collaborate personally. So this project, working and prepping for Ignite, this is a pretty complicated document. So I wanted to use the rich client apps on my machine. So I opened the document from the document library, chose to open it in the rich client, and I was working on it at the same time as Ron and Pradeep were working on it. I was just able to refresh and see the changes coming in from other folks, and then save directly, publish my changes to the SharePoint library. This is so much easier with a connected group. And in another case, and another initiative that I'm working on, where I author or edit most of the documents, I choose to sync that SharePoint document library to my machine so that when I'm on the plane on the very long flight back to Seattle, I can be working on that, and as soon as I get back to internet connectivity, my changes are going to publish right into the SharePoint document library. So everybody can be working on and collaborating on these documents at the same time. It's pretty awesome. We're also enhancing the productivity experiences in Yammer. So as you saw today, you can attach files directly to a message or a thread in Yammer with the SharePoint file picker. And you can share and view stream videos directly in your Yammer feed. But we have a whole bunch of improvements that are coming in this area. So as I demoed, Yammer files in connected groups are going to upload into the SharePoint document library, and the videos are going to upload into Stream directly. And then when you attach them from the SharePoint file picker, you will get a rich document preview the same way that you get rich document previews today for Yammer files. And what's really awesome about this is that it's the same preview service that's used by OneDrive. So if you see your files across the suite, you're going to see the same preview too. We're going to be making your file experience in Yammer better by not having to send you to SharePoint to just see a list of your files. You'll still go to SharePoint when you want to do advanced management capabilities or organize your file directory. But we're also going to start showing you your SharePoint files in the Yammer Files tab and in the mobile clients. And finally, OneNote is another area that we're going to invest in pretty deeply in the next 6 months to a year. So you're going to be able to create and view OneNote notes really easily in Yammer. So let's take a look at what some of these things look like. The file picker you have today. Rich preview coming soon for your SharePoint documents. Here's an example of what OneNote looks like embedded into the Notes tab in Yammer. And the mobile experience, where you have your pinned list, your file list, and a link or a section for your Office 365 group resources. But we know that you don't always use Office apps for everything. There are times when you're going to use third-party tools and apps as well. And we have a solution for that with Office 365 connectors. So this is a really great way for you to stay on top of what's happening in these other apps that you use with your team in Yammer, and to be able to start conversations quickly and seamlessly about what's coming from these other services. So this is available today on the desktop client and on web, and will be coming soon for mobile. So I'll give you an example of how we use this internally. We have a group set up to post all the updates that are coming from the user voice connector, so that we stay on top of what you all are asking for us to build in the product. And it's really easy, because then we have a thread in Yammer already started. We don't have to go to this other service to figure out what's happening. And we can easily @mention the people who have context for this area and get a conversation started, so that we can turn around a response to you all faster. Dynamic groups in Yammer. Dynamic groups are a way for you to manage your network by creating groups that have a dynamic membership list based on some user attribute in Azure Active Directory. So in the example in the demo, we had a group of dynamic membership for people who belong to the telesales department of the Contoso Travel Agency. This is a really powerful way for you to improve your network. There's a couple of key scenarios here. One that we talked about or showed in the demo is how you can use this to get new users in your organization in place where they can do their work really fast, because from the day that they join, they are already a member of some of the groups that they need to be effective at their job. It's also a really great way to manage large groups in your organization. If you work at a large company, like we do, it can be a real hassle if you have to manage your membership manually for some of these groups, or in groups where membership changes quickly. So if you have a lot of first-line workers, for example. And then this becomes a place that you can use for your corporate communications. Yammer is a really excellent tool for having and establishing a two-way conversation between the executives in your organization and the individual contributors or the people on the ground. And now, with the changes that we've made to pending membership in groups, and so that people will receive an email notification about any announcements that are posted, you can use this knowing that you're going to be able to reach everyone that you want to reach and get the benefits of Yammer and establishing that two-way conversation. But wait, there's more. Management. So, I love that phrase. As I showed in the demo, your Yammer connected groups are just like any other Office 365 group across the suite. Same with Outlook, same with Teams. Super straightforward to manage your groups list to get visibility into what's happening in your Yammer network. Earlier this year, we introduced and aligned with some of the core functionality that comes with Office 365 groups. So today we support soft delete. If you have soft delete configured for your tenant, somebody accidentally deletes their connected group, you can bring it back within 30 days. No problem. Just like that. It's magic. We also support unique mail nicknames for these groups and group expiration to help you keep your group list manicured and tidy within your org to make sure that you're cleaning up unused or unwanted groups. And coming soon, we're going to be adding support for data classification and for naming conventions and policies. So if you have data classification set for your tenant, somebody who goes to create a group will see a data classification box in the bottom so they can choose the right classification for their group when they create it. And if you have a naming policy set for groups in your tenant as well, that prefix or that suffix will be applied to the group name at group creation time. So who gets this? When do you get it? This is a question I get asked a lot. Earlier this year, we shipped the first 2 phases of our groups integration. So we started by connecting new public and private groups in your network where you enforce Office 365 identity, and you have a single tenant mapped to a single network. Our second wave, we did a backfill to connect all of your existing awesome groups to get the enhanced productivity experiences of the Office 365 connected Yammer group. And what's coming next? Waves 3 through 6 coming soon. So wave 3 is all about getting more networks access to Office 365 groups. Yeah, I see some thumbs up over there. We're going to do that by converting legacy Yammer identity accounts to Office 365 so that everybody has the right type of identity to be used in Office 365 groups. It's still going to apply to groups where a single tenant is mapped to a single network, but this will dramatically expand the number of networks within Yammer that have access to these connected group experiences. And then we're going to get you the rest of your group types too. So today, it's public and private groups that can be connected to Office 365. We're going to extend it to include the secret groups, which are your private, unlisted groups. And we're going to be aligning our notion of external group with the Office 365 guest membership concept. So you'll be able to manage guests in Yammer the same way that you manage guests in Office 365. And last but certainly not least, because every single network has one of these, all company is going to be getting connected to Office 365. And when that happens, we will be able to fulfill another request that we hear often, which is giving you all the ability to customize how your all-company group looks with a photo and a header. Yeah. And then following past that, timeline to be determined, we're going to be focusing on some of the other network configurations that we have. So external networks and the case where you have a single tenant that's mapped to multiple networks. So that's Office 365 groups in Yammer. And with that, I hand it to Pradeep to tell you all about Skype, audio, video, and everything that's awesome there.
Hello? Can you hear me fine? Excellent. Thanks, Adrian, for that awesome overview. My name is Pradeep, and let's look at how you can achieve more in Yammer by leveraging the presence, audio, video capabilities in Skype for Business. Most of you already do this today. You use Skype for Business to look up if somebody is online or make audio or video calls. Let's see how this works in Yammer. Let's go straight to a demo. Again, I'm still Pradeep, but I'm the sales manager in this travel company called Contoso. I use Yammer from time to time, and I'm now spending a lot of time in this New Zealand group. Again, like Adrian showed, it has some daily updates from Bing News, which is interesting. So I click through into this New Zealand group, and I go through all the conversations. And as I'm doing this, I'm reminded that I need to do something basic. I need to catch up on whether we will be meeting this month's sales quota. And usually, I talk to my colleague to get this information, and I'm realizing that I'm on a machine which does not have Skype for Business desktop installed. But no worries. I see a Skype for Business icon show up right there on the web. So I click on it, and a web experience for Skype for Business shows up right from within Yammer. I can search for my colleague, Henrietta, find her, click on her, and ask her the question, hey, are we meeting this month's quota? And Henrietta will receive this message wherever she is, whether on Skype for Business desktop or mobile or on Yammer. So in this case, she's on mobile, logged in. She got my message, and she's replying back saying, mostly there, Lydia, who is one of our colleagues, is finishing up a bulk order. That's good news. So she just types this in, hits OK, and I get an update right there in Yammer. In fact, even if I had dismissed the Skype pane, and if I was browsing through other groups, this same indicator will show up saying that I've got a reply. So without losing my context, without switching apps, I can participate in a conversation with Skype for Business right inside Yammer. I can send messages, and I can receive messages. Sorry for this thing which blocks my view, but hopefully you can hear me fine. Now let's look at what happens with Lydia, who's trying to close this deal. So this is Lydia, who's also a salesperson, but she's a new member of the team. So like Adrian mentioned, she's spending a lot of time in this global telesales dynamic organizational group. So she's coming in, she's looking at this group and getting started, and then she gets this lead about this bulk order. And so she does what Yammer does best for. She basically goes and asks for help. One of my customers is interested in a bulk cruise purchase. Can somebody help me? And people help her out, and there are a lot of answers. And Henrietta actually points her to a bunch of documents, which makes her job easier. And now Lydia is all set. In 5 minutes, Lydia has a call with this customer. But she just gets an email saying that one of the passengers in this travel is coming from outside the country. Now she needs to figure out if this person needs to fill any extra forms or fulfill any extra requirements to make this trip. She has just 5 minutes to make the customer meeting. She has to see if Henrietta is online. Now she doesn't need to switch apps, change context. All she needs to do is scroll up, mouse over Henrietta, and voila, she'll see there that Henrietta is online. Right from within Yammer, doesn't need to switch apps. And then, even better, with a click of a button, she can start a Skype call with Henrietta. She just wants to make sure if she's okay. Hey, got an urgent question, just making sure she's ready for a call. Henrietta gets this message on mobile, says yes, and then she just starts a call right from here, makes a Skype call, which you're all familiar with, and gets the job done. So basically here what we saw is right from within Yammer, Yammer shows, Yammer understands you're an Office 365 user, shows people's presence, and you can make even calls to take that conversation from a text conversation seamlessly to a rich audio-video conversation using Skype for Business. So what did we see? Let's switch back to the PPT. So how does it all work? This is a question I get asked all the time. I'm going to come dangerously close to this place. Works with Skype for Business Online. Yammer is an online service, And we work with the Skype for Business online service, and that's how it all lights up. It works on Yammer web today, but we have plans to extend this experience to our other clients, including desktop and mobile in the future. And we have consistent presence states. So it's not a new set of states that we invent. It's the same ones that you're already familiar with Skype for Business. Well, what are the benefits? Number one is reach. You can reach nearly all your colleagues, whoever is on Skype for Business online, with Yammer. Number two is coherency. You don't need to switch apps. You don't need to change context. It's simple for you to move from one app to the other, which is how it should be in Office 365. Third is user overlap. We found that nearly 80% of our Yammer customers also have a Skype for Business subscription. It's a powerful integration. You get voice, video, screen sharing, all the goodness that you already know about Skype for Business is available with this integration. Last but not the least, it's an enterprise-grade solution. Skype for Business is an enterprise-grade solution, and we inherit the best of the suite. Just FYI, as the teams in Skype for Business come together, the Yammer experience will benefit from all those new capabilities as well. The other scenario that comes to mind when we talk about audio-video communication is live video broadcasting. Again, you know Yammer is great at connecting people, but in the context of a high-value live video broadcast, some of these connections and conversations get even enhanced. So in Yammer today, you can host live meetings by combining Yammer's capabilities with Skype video broadcast, and I'm going to show you how. Some example use cases. The first one is best practices share out. As you saw, I was in this New Zealand best practice group where people shared best practices about this new travel destination. You can have a broadcast from time to time sharing out some best practices from that group. Departmental all hands. If your department is split across multiple geographies, in addition to having them all in this departmental group in Yammer, you can also get them together in a broadcast session. The third and most popular use of this scenario is an executive connection, a town hall style executive connection scenario where the entire company comes together in a live broadcast with Yammer conversations side by side. Let's see how it works. Again, let's go to Lydia. Now she has successfully finished this deal, so she's happy. She's going to the executive connection group and browsing what's happening in the company, catching up. And here you will see Patty, who's the CEO of the company, regularly posts top of mind. She just finished an offsite and she's posted some notes. People respond to that. This is how it starts. It's not just one executive connection that kickstarts this connection within the company. It's a bunch of things. This is one example of how Yammer tries to bring in the entire company together. And then, empowered by some of these posts being shared in the open, Irvin starts asking questions in the same executive connection group. Employees bubble up topics from their side. And as the date for this town hall style executive meeting nears, Lydia, who is helping coordinate this, she's also sharing some of the agenda topics to get some feedback from people, because this is a high value meeting. We want to make sure we talk about things that people care about. And of course, on the day of the executive connection, there is an announcement made, and Lydia can click on a quick link, live webcast, and join this broadcast. And you will see two components, a live video and a Yammer. And by the way, this is not a recorded video. This is this room being live broadcast from this camera right here. And you can see, and this is what happened before as the room was filling up. So this actually works pretty well for thousands of people. And as Patty is looking at, she can look at the whole Yammer group, or she can share some top of mind as this live broadcast is happening. She can say, Patty, what do you think about the future of telesales, especially software upgrade? So she can quickly put a question up and post it. The difference between this and asking a very formal question is that others can jump in. They can reply, they can like, and people can know what's happening in this high-value executive connection. And by the way, this is something many of our customers use all the time. And I have pointers to 2 sessions which go a little bit deeper into this scenario. Now, the other question people ask is, yeah, you're showing me this, but how do you really set it up? Is it too complex to set up? So it's a set of few simple steps to set up a basic meeting. So let me show you that. Lydia, as you know, is also helping set this up. And so she has this meeting invite. So we'll come to this. First, let's go to the place where you actually set these up. It's the Skype broadcast portal. So you go to this portal, and if you have an E3 or an E5 SKU, already have this. And here you see all the meetings, all the Skype broadcast meetings in one place. You click on New Meeting, and you put in a bunch of fields, the title, simple fields, who organizes the meeting, and that's the first step. Let's look at a meeting that's already been created. So this is for the next month, October 26th, and you see it's not a big form, it's a simple form. That's step 1. Step 2 is add Yammer to this. So go to the attendee page settings, customize this, and here the key part is adding this Yammer group ID. So I'm going to switch to this executive connection group and show you it's the same group ID of that group that was having all these conversations. That's step 2. And then step 3 is spread the word out. So there is a join link here, which you can copy and paste into Yammer as an announcement, which is what you saw before, or you can send an Outlook invitation to people and put them in their calendars. That's step 3. Last step is to actually start the meeting. So let's do that from Lydia, who has already gotten a meeting. We saw this before. And there is a link, same link as before. Click here. It starts Skype for meeting, but with a set of broadcast controls in it. So you'll see that Skype will load, and you will see some controls show up. So here, what Lydia can do is start the video, and you'll start seeing all of you here. That's the video. And she can make this video in a moment the active video for broadcasting. So this is the video that's going to be broadcast to everyone. She can also upload some presentations. I've already uploaded some. She can start sharing those presentations. So once that's done, you will see the presentation load up. All that she needs to do is hit the start broadcast, and in a few seconds, broadcast will start. So this is a set of simple steps to start a live broadcast with Yammer in it. Now the key thing is you can also add multiple video angles to this. You can invite more people. You can have more content and switch between them. And to know more, I'll point you to another session. Let's switch back. So what we saw, I'm going to go quickly on this recap. We are running low on time. How the executive connection works. A quick recap is how executives share priorities in the Yammer group. Employees bubble up topics. Agenda is shared. Live broadcast happens with Yammer. They are archived, and the key value are the ongoing conversations that go on in Yammer. And we leverage tools across Microsoft 365 to get this done. And in the future, we'll continue to invest in this live broadcasting scenario. We plan to have the live broadcast being an immersive experience in Yammer. We also continue to invest in Yammer conversations in Office 365. Today, it's available as part of Skype broadcast. And in the future, it'll be available as part of Streams and Teams, which will have live broadcasting capabilities. And these are the 2 sessions. One is by the Teams team. The other one is by the Streams team. We are working very closely with them and developing these scenarios. That's it. Over to Ron.
Thank you. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Yammer in the social intranet. Before I do, I want to share just a quick anecdote about why I'm so excited to be working on this particular topic today. So I've been with Yammer for 6.5 years, which makes me a bit of an old-timer. And I think the vision for the acquisition of Yammer by Microsoft was for exactly the things that I'm going to talk about, for this deeper integration of content and conversations. At Yammer, if you've dealt with us, you might know we tend to be an opinionated bunch. One of the things that we actually valued as a company and a product was the idea that we would have a centralized vision and decentralized execution. So what that meant was that we would trust the people out on the edges to execute on the vision that was established by the leadership team. And ultimately, we believed in empowering all of our teams to do the work that they needed to do in the way that they felt most productive. And so what that meant is that we were free to choose whatever tools we wanted to do the job. So if it was documenting, if it was bug tracking, file storage, whatever it was, we were free to choose whatever we wanted. And as a product manager, I also felt like it was important to know all the things that were out there to see what people were doing. And so fast forward to today, and now I have 2 initiatives that I'm involved in. And what we do in all of these initiatives is we get a pulse of, what does the team want to use? What tools do we want to use? And in both of those initiatives, the team collectively decided we want to use Office 365 for collaboration. Nobody came to us and said, you have to use these tools. We actually collectively chose those things. And so to me, it's a very, very powerful signal that these products coming together are making us more productive and better at our jobs. So when we started thinking about how we can bring Yammer and SharePoint closer together, there were a few principles that we wanted to adhere to. First and foremost, we were not going to do integrations just for the sake of doing integrations, but rather we wanted to find core use cases that could make people more productive, especially in service of our shared mission of connecting content and people. And we wanted to have really great experiences. So right now, I think some of you might have seen that we announced yesterday a new native web part for SharePoint. I'm going to talk about that. And some of you, just show of hands, who's familiar with the existing embed iframe-based web part? So lots of hands. And that web part sort of falls down on a variety of fronts. And so when we were thinking about building this new web part, we really wanted to make it a great experience, one that would be seamless and easy and really drive positive engagement in both Yammer and SharePoint. So we also wanted to prioritize mobile. So both Yammer and SharePoint collectively have been making very, very significant investments in mobile to make sure we have world-class mobile experiences. And we wanted to make sure that when we delivered something to end users, that it would satisfy this requirement of having a great mobile experience. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do a real quick demo. For the purposes of this demo, I am Naomi. So just imagine me with long hair and much prettier. So here we are in the Contoso travel site, or the travel Contoso company. This is a New Zealand site. So the idea here is that this is a place where people in the Contoso travel agency can surface tips and tricks, find experts on travel in New Zealand specifically. And so what you see here is we have some conversations in Yammer. And then when I flip over to SharePoint, here is the associated comm site for this Contoso New Zealand travel. And as I scroll down, you'll see here that Yammer conversations are showing up right here in this comm site. What you'll notice, the few things I want to point out. First, there is seamless authentication. So when you land on this page and you load this page in SharePoint, we're going to go authenticate you to Active Directory, authenticate you to Yammer. So there's no need for manual sign-in. these pages will just load. Second, you'll notice that this looks like it belongs in SharePoint as compared to the existing embed-based web part that looks very much sort of out of place in SharePoint. So this should feel very, very native within SharePoint. I want to point out a few configuration options. Oops. Essentially what I want to show you is the various configurations.
Just refresh your page.
Thank you. All right, and it works. So when I go into edit mode for this particular web part, you'll see the different configuration options. This is still fairly early on. So what you'll notice here in the top right is that there's a URL for a group. This is what we were able to build in time for Ignite. But what we will do here is you'll be able to actually search your Yammer groups so that you don't have to go to Yammer and copy a link and paste it in there. You'll notice also there are 3 different options for which conversations we display. So again, I mentioned a little while ago that we're really trying to focus on like some core use cases. And I think the 2 best use cases we have for this web part are comm sites in SharePoint and team sites. On the comm site side, so I think of Microsoft as a company, like 120,000 people, something along those lines. Probably 60, 70,000 people travel for business at Microsoft. And so Microsoft has a comm site set up for us called MS Travel. An MS Travel site has got all the things you need to make your travel successful. There's a Yammer group associated with that comm site where people can come and post questions. The MS Travel people will answer those questions, that sort of thing. So it's unlikely that I would want to go as a Yammer product manager and read everything in that particular comm site. Rather, I might check a few conversations to see if somebody has asked my question. If not, I can post my question. And that's generally how I consume MS Travel today. So in this case, what you'll notice is that we have 2 configurations for comm sites. One is top conversations, and the other is select conversations. So top conversations is basically an algorithmic feed. You're going to point it to a group in Yammer, and we're going to pull the top conversations from that group and make them available to you in the web part. If you would rather curate your conversations, you can go select up to 4 conversations from Yammer and have those on display in the web part as well. And for the team site configuration, again, so I think about how I work in Yammer. I have my larger product team group. I'm pretty much up to date on all those conversations all the time. And so we have this new conversations option at the top of the connector, the configuration panel, excuse me. And what that's going to do is that's going to pull conversations that I have not read and make them available to me on the web part. And so the bottom 2, top conversations and select conversations, everybody's going to see the same thing. So that's perspective to the group. New conversations is going to be perspective to the individual user. So users will see only the conversations they have not yet seen. And I mentioned you would be able to post a message from this web part. So I can come in here. This is the Contoso Travel. And I can post my message right here from SharePoint. So again, the idea is that if I don't see the thing that I need, if I don't find the answer to my question, I can start my conversation right here in SharePoint. And again, one of the things we're aiming for in this particular web part is to sort of start bridging conversations and your information assets in SharePoint. Okay, so just to reiterate, 2 primary configurations, 2 primary use cases we're thinking about for this web part. communication sites, and team sites. So then I think we announced yesterday that the web part should be available by end of year. It's going to be available by the end of October for first release customers. So that is coming very, very soon. We are also working on a number of other enhancements that are going to bring SharePoint and Yammer closer together as well. So Adrian had talked about the enhanced document collaboration in Yammer. So I'll show you some ideas of what we're looking at there. File storage in SharePoint. So we're going to start, Yammer essentially is going to get out of the business of storing files, and those are going to be stored in SharePoint. You'll be able to share directly to Yammer from the SharePoint document library. We're going to make some web part improvements. So what we want to do is we want to get this out. We want to see how people use this, collect some feedback from our customers, and then do some iterations and some V2s fairly soon. And then we're going to work on tighter integrations between Yammer and SharePoint Mobile. So again, we'll get into those a little bit deeper. So again, Adrian highlighted some of what we're getting at here in these better document previews. So if anybody's familiar with what we did in the stream integration, basically the beauty of that stream integration is that if you have access to the file, you'll be able to view it in Yammer. If you don't, you'll see a message telling you that you don't have access to that file. We want to do the same thing with SharePoint documents in Yammer so that when you post a message with a SharePoint document attached to it, you'll actually, if you have permission to see the document, you will see a full, rich preview. And if you don't, you'll see something that tells you that you don't have access, and will give you a button that would allow you then to request access from the document owner. And we're going to make improvements not just when you go through the file picker, but copy and paste improvements as well. So if you simply have a link to the SharePoint document, paste it in, we're going to handle that much, much better. So again, in the interest of bringing content and conversations closer together, the experience right now, when you open a document in SharePoint, we take you out to SharePoint. We want to give you the ability to actually consume that file in Yammer, put the conversation right next to it, and give you the ability to engage in conversation on that document right within Yammer. I mentioned that we want to be able to share directly to Yammer from a SharePoint document library. So the idea here is to add a Yammer option on that share sheet and give you a small composer right there within SharePoint so you can start the conversation in SharePoint, post that conversation to Yammer. So I think you saw Adrian had mentioned we're bringing the group resources from SharePoint to our Yammer mobile apps. We're working on seamless transitions between Yammer and the iOS apps through authentication improvements. So right now, you click on a SharePoint document in Yammer, you might end up going to a web view that asks you to authenticate. But we want to make that a better experience so that we can handle the authentication for you, pass you directly into the native app on the iPhone so that you can basically seamlessly transition from Yammer to these native apps. And deep linking from SharePoint to the Yammer group is already available today. So then looking a little bit further out on the roadmap, some of the things we have in store for you would include being able to support commenting on SharePoint. So this is where Yammer would power that conversation in a much more natural way than is available through our existing Open Graph model. We're going to surface SharePoint activity in Yammer. So again, there are a lot of things we can do here in terms of trending documents, leveraging the most recently used file, so we can give you smarter suggestions when you're in that file picker. We are working on having Yammer incorporated into the SharePoint site templates. So when you create a new SharePoint site, you would have that Yammer web part configured by default on the site. Improving Delve integration with unified profiles and better discovery, and then surfacing conversation cards about files and lists. Okay, so I had to go through that fairly quickly. We have about 10 minutes left. Probably the most important thing I can tell you today is that we have swag. So after this is over, come on up and get some swag. We also have a lot more in store for you on the Yammer side here at Ignite. So I'd encourage you all to go check these conversations out. This is a quick look at what the Yammer team will be doing here at Ignite. We also have a lot of representation from our partners and MVPs. So again, would highly encourage you to go check out what people are saying about Yammer. And then finally, come meet up with us at events. So I think we have like 20-something people here at Ignite. We're going to be at the booth. Everybody's accessible and available. So there's pretty good representation today. But it doesn't end here. We're going to be at all of these upcoming events. So again, find us. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Yammer. You can find us in the booth. We're here. What's that? User voice. User voice. We do listen. So I think we've got about 10 minutes left. I want to leave a little bit of time for questions. Oh, geez, I forgot the most. So I said the most important thing was the swag, but probably the most important thing is happy hour. So if you're around tonight and thirsty, please join us. We are hosting happy hour. So we've got about 9 minutes left for questions. I think maybe come to the microphone so everybody can hear your question. Sure, go ahead.
Just regarding the SharePoint integration piece, so I know you guys are talking about being able to add documents to SharePoint. Is there also an area to add metadata?
To add metadata to those documents?
Yeah, if I'm uploading it to a document library from Yammer.
So I think, do you know more about what we're thinking in terms of the file uploads?
Yeah, so today there is no plans to add specific metadata properties that probably have configured in SharePoint. Is that what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good feedback for the future. At this point, we are first thinking of automatically uploading the docs, putting it in the right place, and probably those may be next.
Okay, and is there also, I guess, coming up, if I have more than one document library, to also be able to make a selection, hey, this doc needs to go in this library?
So the vision here is that when you create a group in Yammer that is connected to Office 365, you get a document library that comes with it.
Right.
So there's a one-to-one mapping between the document library and the Yammer group. So the same way today, when you upload a file, it goes into the file list for that group. It's going to go directly into the document library that comes with that connected group.
Yep, and it's the same for Teams, Outlook groups. It's the same story across the board.
Oh, don't worry, I'm asking them too if I can have more than one
Yep.
document library.
We'll talk more offline too. Happy to do that.
Hi, thanks. 2 questions. The first one, I really like the web part, which is nice. Focuses on a group. What about topics? Having a feed that's based on a topic as opposed to a group. Especially if it's communications, a lot of time you have campaigns that are based on using a hashtag or a topic.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's funny, we often look at like usage patterns in Yammer, and we've had conversations about topics in general, about how useful they are and how important they are. And I was a little bit surprised, and like this is one of the values of actually coming and like speaking with so many of our customers. I was a little bit blown away by the audible cheers that people got yesterday at the Yammer Vision Roadmap session around topics. So I think what I would say is that in all humility, we will look and see how people use the web part. We'll listen to the feedback, and if there is sufficient interest, we will definitely explore.
Well, I mean, it's a part of embed today, so it's used pretty heavily.
Yeah.
At least by us.
Great feedback.
But thanks for that. Second question, you mentioned that uploading videos would then put them in stream. Mm-hmm. What if you don't have stream turned on?
I guess they go into the SharePoint document librray.
And
yeah,
what
the
if
value
you're-
of stream
what-
is
okay.
like the file lives in stream, and you have like the ability to view it inline in Yammer when it lives in stream.
No, I mean, I get the rationale. I'm just saying, as a corporation, stream is not our preferred video channel.
Yeah.
So,
There are definitely advantages to using Stream. The functionality in terms of how you can watch videos, annotate videos is really pretty incredible. It's a huge leap forward from what we have today with Office 365 video. But beyond that, Stream supports streaming video, so we think it's the best place to put it. But if you don't have Stream turned on for your organization, the files will probably go into SharePoint.
Yeah.
It would be good to know if it's probably or will.
Well, they're gonna
I'm
go-
not, so
yeah.
I'm not asking you now, just it would be good to have that specified.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I see a lot of people, and we have till 12, so don't worry, we'll be here. So after we end the session, you can ask questions to us or come to the booth, but let's keep going.
Sure. So there were a lot of confusion about redundant services across Office 365. This is like pre-Ignite. So I was hoping to get some more clarity on that. I still see a lot of redundant features between Teams and Yammer because both kind of deliver the same kind of functionalities and so on. So I see this confusion across multiple customers that I serve as well. Is there any tighter integration or a clear demarcation down the roadmap that you guys have?
You want to take that?
Yeah. So with any type of collaboration tool, there's going to be some elements of overlap. I like to say that there's overlap even with WhatsApp or consumer-based collaboration tools in addition to the enterprise ones. So what we're focused on is really trying to differentiate how you use Teams and how you use Yammer when you choose which tool when. So Teams is focused on what we're calling the inner loop. So these are the people who work 2 feet away from you. This is your chat-based collaboration. It's for really quick conversations. It's a way today where you use Skype, but now you can do it with a broader group in your team, and it's persistent conversations meant for really quick feedback loops. Whereas Yammer is positioned to help you engage with the outer loop of your company. So this is how you find people that you don't know. Like, you don't know who to talk to, you come to Yammer. This is a place where you can collaborate on these shared interests that may not be part of your core work, but where you see an opportunity to add value to your organization. So that's the core difference really between how you're going to use Yammer and how you're going to use Teams. But by design, with all collaboration and communication tools, there is some overlap in terms of how you reach out to and how you engage with the other people in your organization.
Sure. I saw there was a feature to integrate or share the conversation between the inner loop and the outer loop, and I see it is based on tags. Is there any tighter way for us to share the conversation between these two groups going forward? Like, say, for example, if I want to drop a post from Teams to my Yammer group because it is very similar or related, how do I do that?
It's a good question. So this is evolving as we speak. I mean, you can see Teams wasn't there even a year back, and we are figuring out exactly we're seeing how people use it and evolving the strategy. I'll give you an example, which I think Adrian and team did, is if you want to share some message from, say, email to Yammer, we basically racked our brains and came up with a simple solution. If it's a connected group, all you need to do is email, just put in the alias of that group, and type your mail, and we will post it automatically in Yammer, for instance. So that's one seamless, simple way of doing that. Probably more options will evolve over time, but good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
What happens to Yammer file libraries when this connection to SharePoint is turned on? When files are automatically uploaded to SharePoint, what happens to all of the files in the Yammer group file libraries and the file library itself? And regarding the topic question that was mentioned before, will I still be able to use topics with my files, which has become a really powerful tool for us to make collections of information across groups?
Interesting. So I'll take the first half of that, which is what happens to your files. So the very first step for us in aligning Yammer file storage more directly with SharePoint is to start uploading new files in these connected groups. So very similar to the approach we took when we started connecting new groups to Office 365. So that's our first wave and the first phase of this integration. But in the meanwhile, the Files tab in Yammer is going to be a view of every file that belongs to that group, whether it's an older file that's in the Yammer storage, or whether it's a new file that's been put into SharePoint. So you'll still be able to access all of your files for that group.
And topics?
And for topics.
Thanks for saving the hard part for me.
Yeah.
Drum roll. Yes.
I think the takeaway from Ignite for me is that
Topics.
topics are very important and very popular. So I'll tell you honestly, I haven't really thought about how topics relate to files, but I will think about it, and
Take
so
that
that will
home
not
with
be.
us.
Yeah.
224-628, just give me a call.
We'll take probably one more question, and then we will come to you, and we'll continue the conversation. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're at the booth.
Awesome.
You can find us at the booth in the expo.
Let's see, can you hear me well? Yeah, good. Really cool stuff, incredible. So I have some few questions, but I'll go really fast. Modern web part. So when you post something, do you have any plans, or do you know when you can have to attach files, do something more with the post?
So in the V1, we're going to have the ability to pull a document from the document library. So that is being built as we speak. So soon.
Yeah, awesome. And then, let's see here. When you upload a file or video in Yammer, in stream, in the group, you have channels also. Do you know when we will have the possibility to decide in which channel it will be uploaded to? Or which document library? Just estimate like maybe next half year or...
That's a great question. We're still really early in our thinking about how we're going to approach the stream integration. So we'll take that as feedback along with the topics back to Redmond into San Francisco as we work through the early phases of this initiative. So thanks for that.
Perfect, thank you. Last question about the swag. Will it go up or?
Yeah, we'll finish this, and you can come up, and we can give the swags off. Is that good? Yeah?
Yes,
So
swag, come.
maybe the
see
last slide. Do give us feedback. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.